We're live.
There's some intro music.
Well,
What is this called? What kind of music is it?
it's just like synth stuff. I don't even know.
Oh. It has a bass drop. Wow.
Pardon me?
It has a bass drop. It has some
Kind
sort
of.
of drop.
It's got a filter shift.
Yeah. Weird.
Cool.
All right. Is that the whole song, or did you turn it down?
I turned it down, but there's like 2 seconds left of it.
Oh, okay. Hiya, we're back.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
All right.
I just realized you're wearing an Neenan shirt.
An Eden shirt? What's an Eden shirt?
The sweater you're wearing, the brand.
No, is it Eden? I don't know what brand it is. It's like a it's a monogram sweater.
Oh, that little logo on the front there looks like that Victoria company.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah. No, this is it's a copy company. But yeah. No, this is from Calgary.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck me then.
So it's all your fault. All right, here we are.
Yeah, so we were talking a whole bunch about. Well, this is our first podcast in, I think, like 8 months.
It's been a long time.
I think it's been 8 months.
Whoa.
So a lot's happened.
So much. What has happened so far, Norris?
Well, I can tell you, since our first podcast, I can tell you that my political views have changed a lot. I remember in our first podcast, I think I said like I leaned almost to socialist.
Yes.
And I can say with absolute certainty that I am no longer.
No longer? Tell me more.
Socialism sucks.
Socialism is for figs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Socialism sucks.
I'm pretty on board with that.
Yeah. Like I was talking to my parents, and my parents were like, "So are you a conservative then?" And I was like, "I don't think so." Like, I don't know. I can't say that I'm a conservative. I can't get on board with everything.
Yeah. I don't really like our current Canadian Conservative Party all that much. As in, like, I don't dislike them necessarily, but I'm not
I'm not super hyped.
Yeah, I'm not like, yes, I'm so happy to vote in 2019 for like whichever party I end up voting for. I don't really know.
Yeah. I think I'm somewhere in between, like, if we're using Canadian politics.
Yeah.
I think I'm close to a libertarian.
Yeah.
Or classic liberal, something like that.
Yeah, which we don't really have. I don't think.
Maxime Bernier,
yes,
party is libertarian.
That's true, but I don't like. I'm a little nervous about like some of his things about like climate change and about CO2 emissions that he's tweeted out. Make me a little uncomfortable.
I think, I don't think it's a big thing for him.
Hopefully, if it's like you just don't want to focus on it, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I think from what I've heard, it's just not a pressing issue for him. Okay. I think for him, what he wants to do is open up the market more.
Yeah,
deregulate the market and open it up more, so that people can make, because the government has been sort of trying to push the green initiative.
Yes,
and his theory, and most right-leaning people, from what I understand, their theory is that if you open up a free market on stuff like that, then you'll have greater success and more people will buy into it.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, it seems, at least in terms of environment regulation stuff, like a lot of municipal governments seem to be just doing what they want to do with that. Like Victoria is very much in terms of like trying to regulate plastic and
Yeah,
emissions and things like that, and they're just doing their own thing, like banning bags and straws and changing
and
parking
then
things to make things more expensive.
and they're also, I think there's talk of banning single-use coffee cups.
Yeah, which will be interesting considering how many businesses rely on single-use coffee cups.
Yeah,
Like, how do you force companies to totally change their business model?
yeah. Well, here's the thing. They're just sort of like, here's a new rule. You need to deal with it. Go. like,
Yeah,
like it's like, okay, well, there isn't any other great solutions to single-use coffee cups,
no, like
and
the only thing that I've heard of in terms of like that's kind of a cool idea, but I don't think it can replace single-use coffee cups is there's a cafe in Europe, and I'm sure there's other places that do it as well, where they have like a program where you buy a reusable cup, but they also have like a bunch of those same cups behind the bar. So you just bring in your cup and give it to them, and they take it away from you and they give you a new reusable cup.
mm,
And then they like wash your other cup so that you still don't have to deal with like cleaning your cup and everything because they just take care of it. But it costs like $25 to buy the cup.
yeah,
So
bit of an investment.
it's an investment that a lot of people are not going to be stoked to buy into.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of people won't like that. Well, people are so hesitant to change, especially something as small like that. But as everyone's so used to it,
Yeah.
no, it's going to be hard to get people to change to something like that
So
because it takes a lot of collective initiative and
yeah.
cooperation. And trying to get that many people to get on board with the same thing is not an easy thing to do.
Especially when that's how it's been for like I don't know, like 50 years.
Yeah, at least.
Just gonna get my cup and go.
Yeah,
Especially in like the modern coffee scene, like the last like 20 years, like Starbucks and stuff like that. Like it's just what you do.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's gonna be that's gonna be interesting.
yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen when they do that.
Yeah. So there has been a lot of talk about the new states' abortion laws and stuff like
Yes,
that.
yes, there
There's been
has.
a
It
lot
is I like
all over Facebook and
10% of my Facebook or Instagram stories and posts are not about
I was about
the
to, yeah,
abortion
I was
bans.
about to say 10%. I thought you were gonna say 10% are, and I'm like,
No,
really?
it's
That
like
mean,
I
like,
scroll through and everybody is posting about it
yeah. There's like,
every day.
and then there's about 5 people on Facebook who that is all they post.
I know they post like 6 things a day.
Yeah, and it's yeah, and I don't know. I'm kind of like you only have to post 1 or 2 things to let people know that your opinion with
That
when
you dislike this.
that you dislike what's going on,
Yeah.
and to post your opinion. Once you start posting like multiple things a day, it's like
What do
now you're
you
just sharing it to be trendy. I don't know.
Yeah, like does this get you likes by posting this?
Yeah, like now I don't know. That's what it seems like to me. It's like now you're just posting it because 100,000 other people have posted it, and you want to. I don't know. It's like because you're just posting the same message in a different tweet, like in a different because I see lots of them where they're just like somebody has already written the tweet and then people just screenshot it and then
Yeah.
share it on Facebook, and it's like you're just sharing the same tweet but written by somebody else in different words.
hmm
It's like you just only have to post it once or twice.
And it's like we all know your opinion now, and you're kind of preaching. And also, like, the extent of people who are like, if you don't support this, unfollow me. Like you're preaching to your choir. Then, like, what is? I
Yeah,
don't know. It's kind of it's insane.
it's insane. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
not necessarily being upset about it. Like if that's your opinion, I understand being upset about it. But the amount, as you said, is like just
Yeah,
nonstop.
and there's a lot of animosity and aggression behind it.
Yeah, as well as people don't seem to fully understand the law when it comes to how women are going to be treated under it.
Yeah, you're talking about the Alabama law?
Just all of them in terms of like people talking about women going like. Did you see that Slate article that was like one of the first pieces published about it, about how women can go to jail for 99 years for having an abortion,
Yeah, I've
which is
seen
not
that.
true?
No, that's
Like
not true.
the
Like,
Washington Post put out actually a really good article analyzing them in where not a single woman is going to get prosecuted for anything
yeah, actually,
under
it was
these
funny
laws.
that the Washington Post did that. BuzzFeed News also put out an article saying there's a lot of misconceptions about this Alabama bill. Here's what's real. Here's what's not.
Good for them. That's
Yeah,
surprising.
I know. I was genuinely surprised that these people put out pretty accurate articles. They still sort of lean to one direction, um, but I think it was genuinely fine.
Sorry, a cat just went into my room that I wasn't expecting. I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's kind of there's a lot of people putting out things that aren't really true.
Yeah. So let me. Somebody on my Facebook posted something let me, today,
Yeah, we
and
should. Do you want to just go through a couple of the like things that are coming out in terms of arguments? Like, I don't think that we
yeah,
even need to get into like I think we've talked a little bit about our own personal beliefs on here, but regardless of personal beliefs, I think we can talk about bad arguments anyway that are here.
yeah,
So I'll be
yeah,
completely on the neutral side of not going to attack anything because I disagree with the overall position, but disagreeing with the actual argument that's being made. So
yeah.
let's do
So,
that.
so there's a couple arguments for. So there's a couple arguments for the pro-life, argument that I think are bad.
Hmm.
And there's arguments for the pro-choice argument that I think are bad. I think
Yeah,
there's good arguments. I think there's good arguments on both sides, and there's bad arguments on both sides. And
I
so,
really, I
I,
know that one of the senators talked about something in terms of like it's a religious thing to him, like passing this law,
yeah, and
and
I'm
I'm
like,
like,
no,
I'm not cool with that.
yeah,
So yeah, let's go for it. Bring up
your
your
religion and putting it into law.
yeah.
Your religion is supposed to be how an individual lives their lives and the morals that they live by.
Hmm.
It's not how everybody is supposed to live. If somebody who is not Christian, let's take somebody who is Sikh or somebody who is Jewish or something like that,
Yeah.
or somebody or a religion, let's take Muslim, and started to try and put it into North American law with Canada or the US,
Yeah.
people would not be pleased about it.
No.
And it's not because, and um, people might say, well, that's racist, but it's like, no, it's because they're putting their religion into law. And I don't think that that's good from, somebody who's a Muslim. I don't think that's a good idea for people who are Christian people trying to put their Bible verses into law and stuff like that. I don't think
I agree completely.
I don't agree. Yeah, I don't think the religion argument on the pro life side is a good one. Um,
Hmm.
I'd much rather talk about science and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
Um,
let's
so here's a post that somebody posted today,
okay.
and and what it is it's a status or somebody. It's just a picture of a huge paragraph that somebody posted.
Okay.
Um, and in it, it says, um, abortion is not the only thing being criminalized with these bills passing in Alabama, Ohio, and Georgia. Birth control, punishable by prison time. Miscarriages, punishable by prison time. Traveling to another state where it is not a felony to have an abortion, to have a safe abortion, punishable by prison time. I don't think any of those are true. I know the first two for sure are not true. The third one, I don't know much about.
The third one is the traveling to another state.
Yeah, I don't know much about that.
Well, I don't see how it could, considering that everyone who's looked at the law in a legal sense has said that women will not be prosecuted
In any sense.
in
That's
any
what I,
sense. Like
yeah,
the even the Georgia one is the most vague in the law itself, but there are other Georgia laws that, when combined with this one, make it so that women will not be prosecuted.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then the one that got me was miscarriages could be punishable by prison time. I'm like, that's for sure not true. Um,
The only
and
thing that I've seen about it is that there's a chance that there could be an investigation into whether a woman had a miscarriage or had an illegal abortion, which I kind of I would disagree with that, because a miscarriage is a pretty traumatic thing to happen, and
yeah,
if you're
and
being like forced to like prove that your baby just died and that you didn't kill it.
yeah, yeah.
But
I think I'm not a fan. If that is the case that they're going to investigate, it's kind of like
yeah,
I
I
can
mean,
see where
I
they're
don't
going
know.
with it, but leave it like, yeah, a miscarriage is a miscarriage. And then birth control punishable by prison time. That's for sure not true.
No.
Um, Plan B is still good.
Yeah,
Like
there's
Plan B is
nothing
still
illegal about
available.
that.
Birth control is still available at Planned Parenthoods. I think that would be stupid to, if you're going to put like really strict limitations on abortion, you need to invest more money in birth control. Like, I think that's an obvious thing.
Yeah, but the thing is that none of these laws are. Sorry, one second. What's going on here? Um, yeah, none of these laws are going to prosecute women for getting birth control or
No.
having a miscarriage. Like, even if there's the situation, which, as you and I both said, we disagree with, of an investigation, no one is going to jail for these things.
Yeah. Nobody, like, no,
Mm.
women aren't going to jail. Now, what do you think about, because doctors who perform these abortions, it depends on what state you go to, but I think I think it's Alabama. If they perform the abortion and it's not for, if they perform an abortion and it's not for the safety of the mother,
Yeah,
like the direct physical safety of the mother, then they can be prosecuted. What are your thoughts?
well, I mean, the way that they're classifying it is just the same way as a murder charge, I think, which is why it holds like a 99-year sentence.
Mhm.
Um, which it'd be interesting to know if they actually plan on prosecuting with that. But again, I don't know. I'm also kind of uncomfortable with. I don't know how to like rationalize the legal side of this issue. Like, I don't. It gets so like in what people think that they're doing. So I don't. I like. I'm kind of uncomfortable about that idea of like putting someone in jail for life, but also it's an illegal thing in your state. So I don't know. Where do you sit on that?
I think the way that Alabama is, and like all the states putting these really strict laws into place,
Mhm.
the way they're going about it, I don't agree with, because I think that if you want a society to, if you want a society to accept or become more pro-life, or
Yeah.
come to that argument more, it has to be a societal change. You can't just jump to the legal change. You can't just jump and make it illegal and then expect everybody to follow. because there's still 50% of the population that has the exact opposite point of view.
Yeah.
And it's been normalized for the last 40, 50 years. And if you're just going to make it illegal, or put really strict laws on it, you're going to have a lot of people pretty pissed off about it because it's been normalized. And by making it illegal right away, you're not giving any sort of transition period to let people even hear the argument or think about other options. Or so there has to be a societal change before and then the legal has to follow the societal change.
Yeah, I definitely
for it to be successful.
I think this is something that's way easier to solve in the moral sphere rather than the legal sphere. Like, I don't know, how do you? It's just so different than a normal murder charge. I think even if
Sure.
it's just that it is murder, it's still so removed.
Well, it's so different because this murder charge has been legal since 1973 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why it's different, is because it's been legal for so long, and there's 2-3 generations of people who have grown up with this being normal and this being accepted, at least to a large population of people. It's been accepted.
Yeah.
And so now they're just going whoop, making it extremely strict, and of course they're gonna have people pissed off and outraged and think that that they're having their rights taken away and stuff like that, because for so long it's been it's been a right in their mind.
Well, that's the other thing, is that, like, I don't know what people mean by rights in this conversation. Like, in the United States, at least, you get your rights from the Bill of Rights. Like, that's why people have, like, we have the whole argument of the Second Amendment, but people have the right to bear arms in the United States. But there's nowhere that gives you the right to have an abortion, which there's a lot of things that we do that probably aren't rights, that are legal. But I don't know where this idea that abortion is a human right, like, where are you getting that from? And then if you are getting that from somewhere, how does that compare with other rights? Like, what makes something a right?
So this is what if we're going off of the United States here, and going off of what their legal system says. So people will make the argument that having an abortion is a constitutional right, and it's not.
No.
People get that because in the Bill of Rights, or in the Constitution, it says an individual has a right to privacy, and vaguely translated, people interpret that as people have a right to people basically take that a right to their privacy.
Okay.
And they interpret that it's an interpretation of, I have a right to my body, I have a right to what I put in my body, I have a right to what I take out of my body, I have a, you know what I mean? So
I agree with all of that, but I just disagree. Well, or I find it difficult to understand how you separate your body, or how you don't separate your body from a fetus. As in, like,
that's what's sort of interesting about these bills, is that they're the heartbeat bill, so you can detect a separate heartbeat, and so they're really going with that as like this is a defining point in the pregnancy. There is a heart separate from the mother's, and you are ending it. And so that's what they're using, and it's a good argument. It's a good argument saying that there is a heartbeat, it is detectable, it's not the mother's, it has unique DNA. I mean, using heartbeat as a cutoff point is a pretty good argument, because it makes it hard to argue that it's just a clump of cells.
Yeah, like, I mean, you and I are clumps of cells.
I mean, yeah, technically, yeah.
Like, because currently, like, it just brings, like, I think a lot of people find it uncomfortable to think about the fact that if you have a woman who's 8 weeks pregnant and then somebody shoots her in the stomach, the only crime that happens there is the woman gets shot. There's nothing associated with the fact that you are killing an 8 month pregnancy.
I think there is, isn't there? Isn't there?
No,
No.
no, because there's nothing illegal about that. You have to, if you want to bring that into law, you have to define a point at which it becomes a person. Like in
Yeah.
Canada, there's no. We've tried to, or at least a couple MPs have tried to introduce laws that, like, if like a drunk driver hits a pregnant woman and terminates her pregnancy from that car crash, that they can be charged with two separate um, injuring two people, and it's all been shut down because that it
Really?
involves recognizing life inside the womb rather than outside of. So there's nothing for that.
I just think about there's somebody I have in mind who is very pro-choice,
Mm-hmm.
um, who is getting ready to have a baby, and all I can think of is, um, what happened if somebody, what happened, like, if having an abortion is so okay, um, then you wouldn't be upset if your pregnancy died. Is that, I don't know. I find that hard to take from somebody who is pregnant. I don't know. I find it hard to wrap my mind around it. But again, I'm not pregnant.
That's true. Yeah, like you're
You're
not in that
pregnant.
situation.
So I'm
But
not. So I'm never gonna be in that exact mindset. So maybe I won't understand. But I just can't seem to wrap my head around that.
yeah, I
Um,
don't know how you balance both of those. It'd be interesting to hear from someone who.
I could reach out and see if they would be interested. I think it might get a little heated,
Oh, okay.
but I can reach out and try. It might end up like the last time.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know,
Uh,
but yeah. Um, so yeah, there's. I think I find it. Oh yeah, and then I think the Alabama bill, they don't allow abortions for rape or incest.
yeah, there's none of the laws have that exception.
That is like that. That is, I can't get on board because
Yeah,
at that point I think it's like, if a woman is raped and then she's forced to have that baby, I feel like that is like, I I can't even fathom, but I feel like that would be so traumatic
yeah,
for the
I don't.
woman, that I feel like that, even if you believe that, all life is sacred, I feel like that woman's life comes before her rape baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely
And
gone like back and forth on being on either side of that, like being for that and being against it. And right
yeah,
now, I just don't know.
yeah,
Like
fair
it's
enough. Well, it's a hard argument to make when you're already on the pro-life side, and you're like, and you make the argument that, I'm sorry, I'm putting words in your mouth, I just
no, it's
realized,
fine.
but
You can go. I'll
uh,
correct you if something's wrong.
okay, I feel like if you're on the pro-life side, and you acknowledge that all life is, should be protected, that is a broad statement that, if you take the statement as is, would cover rape and incest and would protect those lives
Hmm.
of rape and incest. So I understand it's a hard argument to make after you've made that sort of claim.
Yeah, but then there's like the gut feeling that it just
Yeah,
seems wrong, though, still.
yeah, I
And so, how
know.
do you like rationalize both of those positions and figure out morally what you think is okay? And
Mhm.
I don't think that I have an answer for that yet
Yeah,
because it's it's just so polarizing.
Well, and it's such a complicated topic.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I watched this. I watched it a long time ago, but then I watched it again recently with all
Mhm.
this abortion talk. It's
Yeah.
this video of Jordan Peterson talking about abortion. He got a question about it at
Mhm.
a talk, and he says, "Abortion is obviously wrong in the sense that you wouldn't recommend somebody you love get one."
Yeah.
Um, but then he says, "But it's not that simple because there's so many complex areas." He also talks about how the topic of abortion is sort of nestled in a larger discussion about um, uh, today's society and how we view sex and how we view
Mhm.
relationships and where abortion fits into that, because that's sort of a smaller argument inside this much larger societal conversation about how we view relationships and sex and casual relationships and how that needs to be addressed, because it really hasn't been addressed
Mm.
since birth control has become so prevalent.
Yeah, that changed
People,
the game.
it changed the game. All of a sudden, people could, fuck around with whoever they wanted, whenever they wanted, and not have to really worry about it. And so there
Yeah.
hasn't really been a discussion about what that means for society. And so obviously there's going to be a transition period. It's been about 50, 60 years of a transition period. And I think now the discussion is starting to come back about what that means for us and what that means for um, responsibility as both as people, both as young men and as young women, what that means for dating and for having sex casually. And um,
Yeah.
I think that's the bigger discussion. And I think that abortion, because it's such a polarizing topic, has um, sort of taken the lead. But I think that there's
Yeah.
a much larger discussion to be had um, about it. And I think
No, that
that
makes like, yeah, like the deeper discussion is about relationships and how we view those now. But like you said, like abortion has just kind of risen to the top as the easiest thing to pick out of there without necessarily realizing where it comes from and
yeah.
why it's so popular. Yeah. Like I've definitely seen in going back to the wonderful Facebook thing. Let me find um this lovely post here. I think it's here. Um oh yeah, it's talking about um, sex and casual sex. And this
Mhm.
is a repost from somebody else's comment that's down here about the like don't have sex argument. And they
Mhm.
say sex is not a crime. Sex is awesome. Sex is healthy and fun, has multiple benefits on top of being a wonderful form of intimacy and
Well, I've
connection
seen that.
between people married or just casual sex. Sex is not a privilege and a right reserved solely for those who wish to reproduce. Sex is not inherently wrong or bad. Sex does not require a punishment, and certainly not the punishment of forced pregnancy. Um, considering that is a crime against humanity as recognized by the UN. Pregnancy is a risk of having sex, just like wrecking your car is a risk when you drive, just like breaking your limb is a risk when you climb trees or go hiking or do parkour, just like drowning is a risk while swimming. We allow people to receive healthcare for all those situations despite the risk they took on. We do not deny people healthcare because of how they came to need it. However, the thing with like that argument about risk and how other activities have risks is that the purpose of driving a car or the purpose of climbing a tree is not to break your arm.
Mhm.
Like the purpose of climbing a tree is to go up the tree and to go down the tree. The purpose of having sex is to reproduce. We've just figured out a way to make it so that doesn't happen. And that's fine. It's cool. It's great. Sure. But you're not accidentally having an accident happen. Instead, you're accidentally having the purpose happen when you get pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, so taking that risk thing, like, it's not the same argument.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone who gets in a car crash when driving, if they're doing everything right and just something goes wrong and maybe another car hits them, that's an accident. But getting pregnant is the purpose of having sex, and you're just bypassing that. And
Yeah. So,
I don't know what they mean by forced pregnancy. No one's forcing you to become pregnant. It's not like anyone's holding a gun to your head.
well, the argument is,
Hmm.
I'm pregnant. You have put really strict laws on me ending the pregnancy.
Mhm.
So therefore, I'm being forced to have this baby. It's like, well, you've decided to have sex, um, whether you use contraceptives or not. Everybody
Mhm.
knows contraceptives are not 100%.
Yes.
Um, so there's a risk of getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Um, if you are so horrified of getting pregnant that you are willing to um, kill the baby inside, then maybe you shouldn't be having sex.
Yeah. Like we just, and
And
this I think comes back to how we view relationships, in that
yeah,
we've just removed sex so much from the possibility of responsibility
yeah,
that
sex. I don't. Yeah, they're removing the responsibility out of sex, and um, it's a huge responsibility. And I'm not saying that abstinence is the best way to go, but
Mhm.
what I'm saying is, if you want to be 100%, if you never want to have an unwanted pregnancy, if you never want to get STDs, practice abstinence. If you are that horrified of having an unplanned pregnancy, don't have sex.
Mhm.
Because when you do, there's a risk of getting pregnant no matter how safe you are. Um, and I think um, having sex is a responsibility. And yeah, it's great. But um, I don't think because you're having sex, you get to get rid of all responsibility of what happens from that. Um, yeah. Um, I don't think, yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm not recommending that people practice abstinence, because I know I wouldn't have. Um, and, but there are other ways, and every time you have sex, you take that risk. And so that's why I think birth control is 100% should be. I think birth control needs to be highly, highly funded and highly, highly educated to young people, like starting young,
Yeah.
educate people. And I think that's so important because um, obviously people don't want more abortions, whether you're pro-choice or pro-life, doesn't matter. You don't want more abortions. Like, and so to prevent abortions, I think both sides should be able to agree that having more birth control and more education is a very, very good idea.
I agree.
So another argument from the sort of religious pro-life is that they don't want to teach people about sex early because they think it's sexualizing children or something like that. And it's like, no, they need to know. People are having sex really young,
Yeah.
especially now.
It's going to happen.
People need to fucking know. And I hate that argument when I hate it when so Alabama doesn't have good sex ed,
Okay.
but yet they're putting extreme restrictions on abortions. That's dumb. That's a
Just
horrible idea.
do one with the other if you're going to do it
Yeah,
at all.
good sex education, and I think that I don't even think it would be a bad idea. I don't know if I don't know if it's a thing in Canada, but is birth control free? I don't know.
I think I
Or
don't know
not
if it's
free, but is it funded by the
actually free,
government?
but it's very easy to get free birth control. As in, there are
Yeah,
a lot of organizations that give free birth control. At least free condoms is really
yeah,
easy to come by.
yeah.
So,
Free
um,
condoms, those are cheap.
yeah. So, here.
But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I would even be opposed to like having the government fund um what are they called? Fuck. They're like the implants that you implant into a woman's uterus.
Oh, a
UTI, is that it?
IUD.
IUD, not
That's what
UTI.
it is. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I think just funding the shit out of that stuff because because I think I think that's one thing that people on the pro-choice and pro-life argument can agree on is nobody wants more abortions.
yeah.
I think everybody can agree that we would like to see less.
I hope so.
And how we get about that, I think, is two very different arguments.
Yeah.
I think, so I hope that that's something that people on the pro-choice and pro-life argument can agree on. One thing that I've seen lately is people on the pro-choice side have stopped calling pro-life people pro-life. They've started calling them anti-abortion or anti-choice, which has a much more negative connotation to it.
You're denying them the pro.
Yeah, you're anti-choice. I've seen a lot of that lately.
Yeah, that would be like referring to every pro-life person as being pro-abortion, which you just said is like
every pro-choice person is pro-abortion.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be the same thing. It's just unnecessarily spiteful wording that's inaccurate.
Yeah, it's not accurate. You can't
because
pro-choice.
There are a couple people that like make headlines in like the pro-life world about like these pro-abortion people. Like there's a couple people that are obviously on Twitter and things like that, but that's like a super small minority that's not worth talking about in the conversation. Most people, as you said, are not pro-abortion.
No, most people should not be in any case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think there's some terrible arguments coming from both sides, and I think there's some good arguments coming from both sides, and it's been a really interesting because this sort of because I remember last time we talked we didn't podcast it, but we just chatted, and I remember I told you that I was struggling between the pro-choice pro-life standpoint, and so it's sort of interesting that I've just been like trying to figure out where I land in the last couple months, and it's sort of interesting that this is all sort of happening while I'm going through this. So it's been really interesting to sort of have all this be going on while I'm trying to figure out my own opinion on it. Speaking of opinion, one of the arguments that I hate from the pro-choice side is that men can't have an opinion on it.
I agree with hating that discussion.
So one thing that was pointed out to me was there's nothing I can't think of anything. I can't think of any area where women are directly told that they can't have an opinion because they're a woman.
No, because that sounds like a old sexist, ridiculous argument.
Yeah. So is there anything that women can't have? Is there anything that women can't have an opinion on?
I don't think so, because
I can't think of anything. I need to ask Jordan if she's ever been told she can't have an opinion on something because she's a woman. I need to ask, because I was watching some YouTube videos, and somebody mentioned like, I've never heard that, and then he asked his wife, and she's like, I've never been told, like, and his wife was like, I never been told I can't
have an opinion because I'm a woman.
Yeah. Because I'm a woman, yeah.
One thing I'd like to know about that argument or lack of argument is the reason that men can't have an opinion on abortion because sorry, I'm just getting a phone call. I'm gonna turn that off. Because of my gender? Like, is it because I am a man, or is it because I can't be pregnant and that I will never have an abortion? Because if it's because they are slightly different things, and if it's because abortion doesn't affect me, then is any woman who's infertile not allowed to have an opinion on abortion?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they'll never have a baby. But I think that they should be able to have just as much of an opinion as anybody else.
Mhm. And what about trans women?
I, same
Can,
thing.
can they have an opinion?
I
Because
think that in the court of online social justice people, they can. Trans women get to, but men don't get to. But I think that everyone should be able to have an opinion on this matter because it's a whether or not it directly affects you in like the fact that you have this happen to you, it's still a societal thing that affects everybody.
yeah, so I thought about so just because I was watching interviews from the Women's March and stuff like
Yeah.
that a while ago, and I remember people interviewing people were interviewing men and women,
Hmm.
and lots of the women were saying like men don't get to choose, but men shouldn't have an opinion. And I just had this realization the other day. I'm like, then why don't you go up to all the men at the pro-choice rallies and tell them to fuck off because they're not allowed to have an opinion?
Yeah. Why are they there?
Yeah, why are they there? If men actually aren't allowed to have an opinion on abortion, then all those pro-choice men should get the fuck out because that's an opinion on abortion.
Hmm. So, am I
So
allowed to have the right opinion on abortion?
men can't have an opinion. It's that men can't have the wrong opinion.
Yes. And you decide what the wrong opinion is.
Yeah. Now, the interesting contrast to that is pro-life women would have the exact opposite. And I think that's one thing that's really bugged me with this whole thing is people keep talking about how it's men making rights or men making all the rules for women's bodies.
Hmm.
One of the lead senators for the Alabama or for it was for the Ohio bill that got passed last year. One of the main people who were leading the charge on it was a woman. The governor who signed the bill and was very pleased to sign it was a woman. So it's not men making all these rules per se.
No, I mean, I'm sure that
There's
in
a
like I think the
lot
Alabama one was 25 men that ended up signing it,
yeah.
but that doesn't mean that it's only men that share this opinion in those states or that are the legislating these bills.
Yeah. It's Alabama, these states are very pro-life states, and it's not just all
Yeah.
men that are pro-life. It's about 50-50 men, women.
And also, I don't remember which state it was, but there was a Democrat that was one of the main people in one of them, whether it was Georgia or Alabama. Like, it's also not just, I mean, there's definitely a lot more Republicans in the US that are pro life than Democrats, but there were a couple Democratic senators that were very on board with this as well. So the whole like hating Republicans for this isn't the only people who share this opinion.
That's very surprising because I've heard from multiple different uh, political figures in the states who have both said, or not both, I think there's about two or three actually, who have said in different interviews that Democrats are not allowed to be pro-life. And if you are pro-life, you're kicked out of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, well, that's probably how it is now. Maybe this guy managed, like, that's how our Liberal Party is in Canada.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not allowed, you have to be pro choice. They're
Yeah.
a pro choice party.
Yeah. So it's not a very, so well, that's another reason why I really like Maxime Bernier's party is you don't have to have one opinion. It's a very diverse party. They all share the same core values, but they're all diverse and have different opinions on different topics.
Mm-hmm. Their core values are that you're allowed to have an opinion on other topics, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was really, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree with that. It's just people just should be willing to actually listen to the opinions of people rather than just jump to some fact about their physical being that's irrelevant to how they feel on a topic.
mm-hmm.
So
another thing in that comment that you read earlier,
yes,
about climbing the tree and stuff,
there's
another one that I wanted to point out here, and it was so this is the argument, and then this is her rebutting it. well, you need to own up to your responsibilities. Your body isn't yours anymore. You need to be responsible and give that child a chance.
Okay.
Then this is her rebuttal. No, we don't. Taking responsibility for our choices means making the best decision to fix an undesirable situation. And I don't like that argument because because you're not taking responsibility for the decision you've already made. You're taking responsibility for a decision you're about to make.
Yeah. Yeah, they're shifting away from what was actually stated
Yeah.
in that you're not like if it's not a different body, what is it?
Yeah. I also it bugs me when women use this terminology to talk about how their body is a human incubator. Their bodily resources are being siphoned to sustain a potential life.
Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I feel like that's totally removing the like beautiful, incredible fact that you're creating life,
yeah,
reducing it to siphoning off your resources like a parasite.
yeah. People refer like I get it if you're using it as a joke. Like I've heard people like talk about
Yeah,
how things like it is a it's a parasite. Mom's talking about it like it's a
yeah.
but
There's so
actually
much different between. Yeah, you can joke about that. It's funny. I totally get it.
yeah, it's funny when you talk about it like that, but when you use it as as a serious argument, it's like, are you that detached from your own baby that you're going to call it a parasite
Yeah.
that takes your resources to feed it? Like, what? This isn't an Alien versus Predator movie. Like,
Yeah.
I get the reference, and technically you're right.
Sure. I guess. Yeah.
But viewing, if that is your actual view on what a pregnancy is, I feel really bad for you.
Me too. Like,
Like that is a horrible way to look at it.
and especially when you see people who don't view it that way, like regardless of their personal views on abortion, but just like people who want to be pregnant and are just like so happy about the experience of it, which I think you're missing out if that's how you're going to view it.
Yeah, and I really want to talk to some pro-choice people and ask. I want to go up and ask moms.
Yeah.
Do you regret having this baby? And then ask if they're like I've never heard a mom seriously say they regret having a kid.
No.
That they have this distaste for this child because they had it and they regret it. I've never heard a mom serious. I've heard parents joke about it.
Yeah, in the same way that you joke about her thing. But I've heard a lot of people talk about like how they never understood how amazing being a parent was until they were one.
Yeah, that's the argument I hear a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think yeah, I've never heard that argument coming from a mom before. So yeah, I don't know. It's such a tricky thing, and when you say you're on one side of the argument, people make assumptions about you. If you say that you're pro-life, people say that you hate women, you're against them, you don't believe in women's rights, and if you say you're pro-choice, you get attacked by pro-life people who are saying like you believe in the murder of babies and
Yeah.
quote the 60 million babies that have been murdered in the States, and you know what I mean, like so
we just all need to give each other the charity of having the best um like interpreting what people say in the best way. Like, I don't think that anyone who's pro-choice enjoys killing babies. If I meet someone like, I'm pro-choice, I'm not going to think that you just want to murder babies. In the same way that if someone's pro-life, the argument that all these people are making, like, they're coming from the point of view that they think it's a life. They're not coming from the point of view that this is my chance to oppress some women.
That is, yeah, I swear that is what a lot of pro-choice people think right now, is that it's straight white men that are out to suppress women because we enjoy it.
That's right.
I think, yeah. And it's like, and no, you have to understand where the pro-life argument is coming from. The pro-life argument is that is a life, and it needs to be protected because right now people have no regard for it as a life.
Yeah.
Pro-choice argument is obviously, and here's the underlying issue with the abortion argument. Pro-life people are talking about rights for the unborn baby. Pro-choice people are talking about the rights for women, because yes, the baby is in their body, and it's a good argument that they should have rights to deal with whatever is inside them, and so I think the issue is we're talking about two different things, sort of, you know.
Yeah.
It's two different. It's kind of two different arguments.
Yeah.
Like they're not arguing about the baby specifically. Pro-choice people are arguing about women, and then pro-life people are arguing about the baby. And it's like, well, you're not talking about the same thing.
That's true. Yeah, we need to figure out a way to talk about both of them together.
Yeah, and the problem is I think a lot of the time it's just a lot of going in circles, because pro-life people say they'll want to talk about the baby and they'll say, well, it's a life. And then pro-choice people will be like, it's not a life, it's a clump of cells. And then, or they'll make the argument like, doesn't matter that it's a life, the woman's life comes first.
Yeah.
And so that you just end up going in these circles because it's very hard. It's very hard to get people who are so strong in their opinion to listen to other opinions in the first place.
Yeah.
And then when you get something as polarizing as this, it can really easily escalate into something else.
Yeah, people just need to
into a yelling match and having it get personal. And one thing that really bugs me about when people are debating abortion is when people bring up really specific situations.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what if the person was raped? And it's like, what if they were raped by their father? What if they are super poor and they don't have any money and they're living in a basement? And it's like, okay, well, let's not go into the specifics. Let's first, let's talk about, is abortion moral? Okay, if it's not moral, if it is, then let's talk about it. But I hate when people bring up really specific examples.
Yes.
It's like, you can't get into really specific examples because we don't. If we're getting into specifics, how specific do we have to get?
Yes.
And it's unlimited how specific.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find that pro-choice people do that, not necessarily on purpose, but it's sort of, when they do that, it sort of derails the conversation and sort of distracts from what the main issue is.
Yeah.
And so that bugs me. And so pro-choice people don't do it on purpose, I think, but that's sort of what happens when you start talking about trying to get into specific examples.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can understand like where they're coming from, especially with picking a specific, is like they're trying to have you see where they are coming from. And then like, maybe if I keep giving you a more specific example, you'll feel the way I feel about this person. But as you said, that's not how the argument as a whole has to be approached.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think there's a lot that needs to be. I think there's a lot that needs to be talked about, and I think people on both sides need to be willing to listen to. Need to be open to listening to other sides.
Yeah,
because I think as it stands right now, I think pro-life people are much more open to talking about it. and much more open to dialogue from what I've seen.
I would agree with that. At least like in the online world of like Facebook and Twitter, I
Yeah.
think that's a fair statement to say.
Yeah. I feel like pro-choice people can get very like hostile, can get very aggro pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then which isn't necessarily, it's not like it's not like that's unexpected. You're talking about something that is very personal,
Yeah.
obviously. But at the same time, pro-life people, that's very personal to them too.
Yeah.
They think that you're killing babies. But for whatever reason, I think pro-life people seem to be able to hold it together a bit better in conversation and in debate. They seem to be able to have more rational discussion, which is too bad because it makes it harder for people. I think it makes it harder for some people to get on board with the pro-choice movement or the pro-choice argument.
Yeah.
If they see all these social justice warriors and stuff like that, and it kind of turns people away from it because it's it reminds them of the cringy feminist sort of, you know what I mean, like.
Yes.
So I think it does a disservice when people act very very civil in that discussion.
Yeah, people like, because it exists. Those arguments and those well-rationed and thought-out comments do exist on both sides, and we just need to see more of it, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There is one thing that I did think was actually kind of funny, though, out of all of this, which is this one tweet that says Alabama sucks so hard they literally have to force people to be born there. I thought that was kind of funny. Like in the world of making comments about this topic, it's an all right one.
Actually, I saw a really funny pro-life meme. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can I just don't know how to show it on here. I don't know if I can show it on here.
I don't know. Can we? You can share your screen if you pull it up on.
Here's what I'll do.
Okay.
I am going to send it to you.
Okay. And then I'm going to share my screen?
Yeah, or I can share my screen, but at least it's on the computer.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah. Because it made me laugh out loud a little bit. And I thought it was funny anyway.
I'm excited.
It's just the it's just the picture behind it.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me do this.
Oh, here. I want to go screen share.
Okay, I'm going. I'm sharing.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Okay. Here. That's pretty great. Yes. The child's face is so sad.
It's so sadly unfortunate too, because it's so true. Like,
I know,
like babies, and then it's like just put them up for adoption, and then but then like the foster system is just fucked, and there's so many kids in foster.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that was kind of a funny meme.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. One other thing. All right, we want to talk about the weird Joe Rogan.
We do, but you plug. What was it? What were you gonna say?
What are your thoughts on all the deplatforming?
Oh, like the recent Instagram and Facebook purge of like Milo and those people.
Milo, Alex Jones. Alex Jones got kicked off of like all those other got kicked off of Twitter and YouTube and iTunes, like all at the same time, like all within 24 hours,
Yeah.
like a couple months ago. And then they did that purge on Facebook and Instagram, and I just wanted to know what your thoughts are on deplatforming and whether or not you think that they should have that power.
It's so challenging because like I've heard some really good, like, because it's so easy to say that like I disagree with deplatforming in general. Like people should be able to do and say what they want to say. And then there's like the whole private company factor that these are private companies, but they're also claiming not to be publishers. They're just a platform that people can talk on and they're not moderating.
Keep talking.
But also, what type of behavior goes too far before we hit like legal things? Like obviously, actually threatening violence is illegal, but should doxing be allowed on Facebook? Like, I don't think so. I think that is an understandable thing to remove people for. So, I mean, I don't think that people like Milo got kicked off because they were doxing people on Instagram, at least. So it's more like I think it has to do with you have to look at what are their standards and if they're applying them fairly across the board.
Yeah, because there's an argument going on that Twitter has a conservative bias or a liberal bias against conservatives.
I mean, I think they do.
Pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious.
And so it comes down to whether you are. I think for me, what the issue is with banning those people is that they're being banned because they're not following the ideology that these platforms are pushing. Like Tim Pool did you watch the Joe Rogan podcast with Tim Pool and Jack Dorsey and then the other woman from Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Tim said that like Twitter is pushing an ideology with their like gender identity policies and such like that. Like whether or not they can do that is totally up to them, but to say that that's not pushing an ideology is wrong.
Yeah.
And so
because it's pretty obviously the idea of gender identity is pretty obviously a left-wing idea.
And so you are like, if I can get kicked off for calling a trans person a man, which I'm not saying I would do, but I'm just like hypothetically saying this, that's very different than getting kicked off your platform in some people's mind than constantly harassing you. Like if I just say it once and I don't think, because this is say that's somebody's ideology, is that someone disagrees with gender pronouns in that sense being fluid, which again I'm just spouting this out here, and somebody who is constantly berating and harassing someone, again not in necessarily an illegal way, but just in a way that is upsetting to the other person. There's a difference between what you're actually if you ban one of those people, because one of them is a purely ideological one where the other one is a little more broadly across the board understanding why that's wrong in their view. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I feel like most of these bans, at least the new ones like the Milo, and I forget who I don't know the other woman. There were like 3 people that were big that got kicked off Instagram, are much more on that ideological side than broad across the board policy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like there's some pretty, like so far from what I've seen of the people kicked off those platforms, didn't have any violent or they had very strong views.
Yeah.
But none of it was, from what I could tell, racist, homophobic. It seemed like they were very conservative, except for one person was, I think, like a communist or something like that.
Okay.
But but I think somebody said, I think it was on one of the Joe Rogan podcasts, they said, I think they just chucked in that lefty just to show that they're not biased towards conservatives.
Yeah,
I was like,
throw us off a little bit.
Yeah, they probably messaged them and they're just be like, "Don't worry, you'll be back in a little bit. It's just for now.
We just need to cover our ass."
Yeah, I hate it when people call Alex Jones alt-right.
Yeah, I mean, most people that are called alt-right are not alt-right.
Yeah, I mean, fucking what's his name? Fucking Ben Shapiro is called alt-right.
Oh my god, what does alt-right even mean anymore?
That's the problem. Nobody knows.
I think because it's originally
watered down to be used for anyone who is conservative and an outright speaker for conservatism.
Yeah,
that's what it is now.
Yeah, so like, why are we even using this word anymore? Can we just stop? Like, I mean, I understand if you want to call like actual racists alt-right, sure, but why don't we just call them racists?
Yeah, and I hate it when people are called alt-right, and it's like they're clearly not alt-right. The best. I didn't even realize that this is what was going on until somebody on a podcast pointed out is they use this terminology because it has a negative connotation. Nazi, bigot, alt-right, white supremacist. These all have extreme negative connotations. And if you label somebody who you disagree with as one of these terms or multiple, all of a sudden their opinion becomes invalid because they are, this label. They are a racist, they are a fascist, they are white supremacist, and you don't have to contend with them anymore.
Yeah,
because everybody agrees that if they are this, then you don't have to talk to them because they are obviously not in the right mind. Which, if somebody actually is a white supremacist, fascist, all that, then obviously then their opinion can sort of be disregarded a little bit.
That's very true.
But people are now using that to their advantage and saying, okay, well, this person who I disagree with, who I think they know that they can be beaten in a debate by this person, so they just label them as this, and all of a sudden it waters down their argument. People don't have to take them seriously anymore.
Yeah, just discredit them with insults rather than an argument.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you degrade somebody's character, all of a sudden their opinions don't matter because they don't have the character to back it up, according to the other person who has labeled them as that.
Yeah, which is a really dishonest way of going about it.
It's extremely intellectually dishonest.
Let's just face ideas.
Yeah. I hate it when people do that, and it happens.
It happens a lot. Like, did you see the? I don't remember the name of it, but it was this report that was published about, and it had this giant web connecting all these different social media people, and it had like all far right people as they turned it, but it had like Joe Rogan connected to Richard Spencer, and like all these things. Maybe Joe wasn't connected, but I think Dave Rubin was connected. Like, it was just ridiculous in that it had all these people connected, and how they're all what was it called?
Dude, Joe Rogan is such a liberal.
I know. He's like, I'm almost a socialist.
Yeah, like he believes in universal health care and all that stuff. Or not universal. Sorry, I meant to say universal income.
He believes in both.
Oh yeah, no, he both. But I meant to say universal income.
UBI is much more left than healthcare. I think.
I think so. I mean, I don't believe in UBI, but I believe in universal health care.
Yeah.
But when people say that he is on the right, when people even say he's on the right, I'm like, have you ever listened to what he has to say? He talks to people on the right because he finds them interesting or he likes them as a person.
Yeah.
But his views have pretty much stayed the same. I think he's even become more liberal than he used to be.
So I found this thing. It's called the Alternative Influencer report, and it's got this web. And 1 second here. Yeah, it's got, so it has on one's, like, it's got James Damore, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Chris Reagan. I don't know if you know who Chris Reagan is. He's a YouTuber who's on the left. He just doesn't like social justice warriors, but he's fucking on the left.
Yeah.
And then it's got like Gavin McInnes, Milo Yiannopoulos, and then it also has Richard Spencer and James Alsup and Faith Goldie on here. But it has like these people connected in the stupidest, it's just like anyone they've ever had contact with, and it connects them. So because Richard Spencer has had contact with Andy Warski, who's had contact with it looks like Tim Pool, who's then had contact with Joe Rogan, who's had contact with Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is connected to Richard Spencer.
Dude, Tim Pool is one of the most, like, he is like basically almost socialist himself. Like, he is super liberal.
Yeah.
Like, super liberal. And I was shocked because I was like, this guy is like this guy advocates for free speech, and he's talking about all the Twitter bias and bias against conservatives, and he is just such an advocate for free speech. He doesn't care if somebody is conservative. He wants them to speak, and he is so liberal. Like, he is so liberal. He's very much on the left, but he is such a believer in free speech that he hates, that he fights against it, and so people accuse him of being conservative or on the right. Because he is sort of a devil's advocate for a lot of things. And I'm like, go Tim Pool. That guy's a beauty.
Absolutely. So it's just, I don't know, people are so caught up in just not willing to, or not wanting to view the potentially not worst case scenario about someone.
Yeah.
That they'll just jump right into the hit pieces and accept them, which is like what happened with the abortion thing, with like when Slate published their first article, just like blatant lies about how women are going to be going to jail for life because of these things. And then people started posting it and retweeting it because it is ridiculous if that's what's going on, but it's just not what's going on. In the same way that these people just aren't alt-right and they don't hate people because of their skin color or race.
Yeah. One thing that I found really interesting is that I've found that liberals like to talk about race and sexual orientation a lot more than like right-wing people do.
Yeah.
More. I find that comes up a lot. Like, the left is talking a lot about, race and stuff, and people on the right are like, why are you talking about it? Doesn't make a difference to who they are as a person.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's just how people.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, that's not what you used to hear about the right-wing people.
Yeah, I mean, I saw, if we want to quickly go to like people being inflammatory and labeling everyone broadly. Let me find this. I don't know what's going on with my Facebook. But
speaking of labeling people broadly, one of the things I saw on Facebook about the abortion thing was if you are, it said anti-choice equals anti-women.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that is clever.
It's real smart. So here's this post, and basically, um, like, I agree with the post in general, and it's talking about it has this photo of these Republicans with quotes of them talking about rape, which are pretty awful. Like rape is kind of like the weather; it's inevitable. Relax and enjoy it. And these are just from
Fuck.
like rape victims should make the best of a bad situation. Like awful things to say.
These are
And
from
these are from Republicans, but it's like positing this as if that is the Republican opinion
Oh,
on rape.
can you screen share it?
I will screen share just the photo because I um, don't want to show who it is.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Is it a Facebook
It's a
post?
Facebook post, yeah.
I see.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, if you can
like
share it.
here,
So
I can do. No, I can't get it without a name, so it's okay.
okay, no worries. But yeah, yeah,
But it's like I agree with
that
the post in general, but I just disagree with the way that it's
being
spreading as
presented.
if that is the common opinion of anyone who voted for the Republican Party in any way in this US.
Yeah, yeah. Like I wouldn't be surprised if some of those quotes are from like like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, like when are they from? I have no idea.
Yeah, like they could be from 50 years ago, but
Mm-hmm.
technically it's not a lie because they're technically still from the Republican Party.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. Let's quickly look at when one of these is from. I'm curious. We want Clayton Williams. Um, yeah, so it's from. It looks like it's from 1990. Um, and the guy says that it was a joke and apologized for it, and said he never meant it seriously, and apologized to anyone who was harmed by or victims of rape who were offended.
So it's from 1990.
Yeah. So one
and
of them is
and this woman or this person is using it as an argument that you shouldn't vote Republican 30 years later.
pretty much.
See, that is so intellectually dishonest because they're not saying when it's from or who it's from. They're just saying this is a quote from a Republican candidate. Here you go. It's terrible, and it's like that's so yeah. That's such a shit way of going about
Wait,
it.
hold on one second. Yeah, it was a stupid comment, but
A horrible comment.
yeah, it was on a ranch, and it was preparing the cattle for a roundup, and it was a cold, foggy weather. Oh, he compared the cold, foggy weather spoiling the event to a rape, telling the ranch hands, campaign workers, and reporters around a campfire, if it's inevitable, just relax and enjoy it. So stupid, insensitive comment.
Yeah. And when was that? Was that the one from the 90s?
That was the 1991. I mean, I don't. There's like 6 quotes on here, so I'm not going to go and look up all of them or where they're from. But
yeah, I'd be interested to see if they're all, old like that, or if any of them are at all within the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Or if they're even from people that are still in the Republican Party.
Let's say I want to see when this one's from.
See, this is where we need a Jamie.
Yeah.
Did I show you my new tattoo? I just realized.
No.
I got a tattoo. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, that's dope. Is it little mountains or yeah?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's I got it in Nepal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What was it like getting it done there? Like, was it just like in a normal tattoo parlor?
Nothing there is normal.
I didn't think so.
But I went to this place so that I could have him do it with a bamboo.
Oh, cool.
So it's like a big bamboo stick, and then it takes him like half an hour to get it ready because he has to like tie the needles. Like there's like a package of like about 10 needles.
Okay.
And he ties them to the end of the bamboo stick, and he like wraps it up and then melts wax around the string.
Okay.
And like it's this whole process, and he didn't. And you know how normally they draw it out on paper, and then transfer it on. He just drew it right onto my arm.
Okay.
And I should have taken a picture of what he drew because it didn't look like this.
Oh.
What he drew was literally just like a triangle, and then like some peaks in it. Those basic.
Were you a little nervous?
I was a little bit nervous, but then at the same time, I was like, "Fuck it." I was like, "It's $80. If it's that bad, I'll get it covered up."
Yeah,
but
that's sweet.
It wasn't that bad.
What was it like getting it done with the bamboo?
It was way nicer than having a gun.
Really?
I could have fallen asleep, man. It was so like the first little bit hurt, like any tattoo, but then after like 10 minutes, it was just like after 10 minutes, the most annoying thing was having to keep my arm in this position.
Yeah. Was it like stick and poke in the way that they're doing with their hand, or are they tapping it with something else?
No, they're doing it with their hands. So they kind of like hold it up here and then sort of like make sure like position it with your fingers like down here on your arm, and then just sort of poke.
Okay. And
sort of do their thing, and yeah, it was great. It was a cool experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Two of the tattoo artist buddies came into the shop about halfway through and then just hung out for the rest of it.
Cool.
And they were just in the room and they were just like hovering over him, like watching him. Like, and I was like, "So are you guys like his apprentices or something like that?" And one of them was like, "No, we're just going out for drinks after." And so he told us to meet him here. So we're just here watching. And I was like, okay cool.
Just gonna stare at me.
Yeah.
This is fun.
I swear the guy who did my tattoo is half fucking cut. Because literally he's like, okay, the tattoo shop is like, you like walk down sort of like a main strip. Okay. It's sort of like in the touristy area. And so you're not allowed to drive on the roads in this area. Okay. It's only for walking. And so you are walking down the road and then you take this like little alleyway. And it's like the alleyway is maybe 3 feet wide. And you walk down this alleyway and then you go up to the 4th floor of this building. The building's disgusting, by the way. It's like just covered in like, everything's falling apart and stuff. And you go up to the 4th floor and you go up to the 4th floor and there's a fucking bar. Like you get up to the top floor and if you turn right, you can see there's a bar and there's they've got like a little balcony out there. There's just like a bunch of young people, like a young Nepali people and some tourists drinking in there, having a party in. And then if you turn left, there's a door to the, actually, if you turn left, there's another door to your right, which is the tattoo shop, which is just 2 little rooms. One is like sort of an office, sort of like a front area. And then there's a little back room, which is where they do the tattoos.
Is it just the one guy in there?
No, there's 3 tattoo artists that share the space.
In that small, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then if before you go into the tattoo shop, if you go left, there's like a little bathroom that is shared with the entire building. And it's just one bathroom. Yeah.
That is like the most rural village thing ever, and I love it.
But it's not a village thing. Like, this is in the capital city, in the
Oh,
tourist area. This is in the capital city in the tourist region.
that's
Like, this is
crazy.
the world. Like, yeah. So, yeah. Not all the buildings were like that. Like, obviously, we didn't stay in a place like that.
Mhm.
We stayed in a 3-star hostel.
Okay.
Yeah, which 3 stars for Nepal anyway. It was super. Like, I was super comfy and nice, but
That's nice. Did you guys have your own room, or was it shared?
no, my dad and I had our own rooms.
Okay.
Well, no, me and my dad shared a room.
Yeah.
We had a 2-bedroom. We had a 2-bed. Yeah, but the rooms were tiny. You most of the times the toilets didn't flush.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, the whole thing was just an interesting.
Yeah, no, that sounds still like an amazing experience to go there.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, did you go to the bottom of Everest, or did you just see Everest?
No, I just saw Everest. So
Okay.
lots of people there were going to Everest Base Camp.
Yeah.
Which is where you hike to. So you, Jordan's calling me.
Fine. Do you want to answer it?
No, I'll just text her.
Okay.
Yeah, so Everest Base Camp is basically where you hang out for about 2 months if you're planning on climbing Everest.
Okay.
And climbing Everest, by the way, is like, I didn't realize how expensive it is.
Yeah, it's like $100,000, isn't it?
On the high end. It's
Okay.
it's minimum 40,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and some people have climbed it like 10 plus times.
Yeah, how do you afford that?
Yeah, it's all rich Aussies.
Really? Okay.
Oh, there's a lot of Aussies there.
I wonder why. Like, I wonder why specifically Australians are the ones that are doing it.
Well, think about it. Australia's right there,
Oh, close.
close by. Like,
Yeah.
think about it. It's interesting. In North America, if we want to vacation, we go to Mexico, we go to Hawaii, we go to Puerto Rico, or we go to the Caribbean. Over in Australia and New Zealand, they go to Thailand, they go to Nepal, they go to
that makes sense.
They go to Bali. Like, they're like, Bali to them is like Mexico to us.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's like, and just like in Europe, if people in Europe want to vacation, they go to Southern Europe or even Northern Africa, or like little islands all scattered around the southern part of Europe or northern part of Africa. That's just sort of where they go. It's because that's where it's close.
Yeah, it's different from where you are. Oh, I lost you there for a second, but I think you're back.
Oh,
All good now.
what was the last thing I was saying?
Oh, I think you finished what you were saying.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I gotta head out.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go do your day, but we will.
What do you got going on for the rest of the day?
Gonna work out and do some math stuff.
Okay.
It's always a fun time.
Yeah.
I need to get my hair cut. This is exhilarating things.
Oh yeah, super exhilarating.
Yeah. What about you? What's your weekend look like?
Oh fuck, I don't know. I'll let you know later when I find out.
All right, keep me updated.
Yeah. Oh, and I told you that I'm doing my first powerlifting meet. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done it yet, or it's coming up?
No, it's not. It's about 10 weeks away.
Okay, so you're just training for that.
I'm prepping for it now. Yeah.
Cool.
The guy who's coaching me, I've sort of befriended. He's actually younger. He's like 20.
Really? Okay.
And he's been powerlifting for about 4 years. And
Sweet.
So he's gonna coach me through it.
So what are you benching right now?
What am I benching?
Yeah.
My max bench right now is 215.
Damn.
I wanna do 245.
Okay.
Comp.
And what about deadlift?
Deadlift, my max deadlift right now is not very good, but a couple months ago I deadlifted 455.
Jesus.
So if I could match that in competition, that would be sick.
Cool.
Because what you can do in the gym is not always what you can do in competition, because competition is very different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then
Pressure, all those things.
Yeah, I'd like to hit a 400-pound squat in competition. Cool. Yeah,
that's also a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's what I'm really hoping for. My max squat that I've done was 365. That was about 9 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd like to hit 400.
Cool. Well, good luck. Good.
Thanks.
Yeah, let me know when it gets closer where you're at as well. I want to.
Yeah, if you it's July 27th.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
This was a good chat.
It was. Yeah. Thank you. We will talk soon.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm really hyped. I'm sure we'll do another one soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just need to figure out a thumbnail for this.
Yeah, make something cool. I think currently I looked at YouTube, what the thumbnail for when it was live, and it was my face
Yeah, I know.
That's yes, so happy that
I know. So I'm gonna try and make a thumbnail. We'll see how it goes.
All right.
Okay. Cool. See you later.
Talk to you soon, man. Okay. Bye.
And thanks to our live audience.